One of the things we do in statistics is we take data and we make it more consumable. So we're going to learn about this in the first couple of weeks. What's that mean, making it more consumable? It means that, if you look at a bunch of data, I'm going to go to a website called Gapminder.org. And here at Gapminder.org, I could scroll down and I could look for data somewhere. Find data, animating data, and see the reality behind the data. And we check the data. They used to have something. Let me find it. Hold on. I'm recording again. And the data is located under resources. Click on resources. And then you come down here to data. And I'm just going to click, I guess, download the data. And bulk download, choose individual, life expectancy at birth. Okay, so here's the data. I'm going to download it as a CSV. We've learned about that. And then I'm going to open this. And so I'll go back to Google Drive, and I'll drag and drop this into Google Drive. Okay. And then I'm going to see if I could also find, in addition to the life expectancy, let me find another piece of data. Hold on. Okay, I just found the other piece of data, and it's right here. So you go here, and then you go to GDP per capita. It's right there. And you could have also gotten there by going here, and then there's categories like economy, and then you could have gone to income and growth and GDP per capita. So I'm going to download this data too. And I'm going to get that as a CSV. There we go. And I'm going to come back over here to Google Drive, and I'm also going to drag and drop GDP per capita in. And I'm going to just create a folder here to keep things organized so it doesn't get messy. I'm going to call it stats, lectures, temp. And maybe I'll upload these to I probably will, to our class. But you could also just go get them. And we've looked at all three of those. And we're going to come back to career possibilities. All right, so, and then we already opened up the life expectancy, which was this Lex. And I'm like, isn't this profound? Isn't this profound? Look, people. We have the countries on the left, and we have the years up top. All the years are there. You see them, 1888, 1889. Oh my gosh, this is life expectancy. It's so profound. It's the history of humanity. And here we have GDP. And look at GDP. And there are all the years. Gross domestic product. It measures how much each person per capita makes in a country. We have all the years. You see them? Oh my gosh, such insight into humanity because it's here. Life expectancy and gross domestic product per capita, how much each person made. So what we're seeing here with this data is the health and wealth of the nations of humanity over the last 226 years. Such insight into humanity with all this data. Don't you see it? How many people see it? Say aye. No. Nobody sees it. It's just a bunch of numbers. It's like it's so hard to interpret numbers. Let's try that again. How many people don't see it? Say aye. You should say aye to that one. Right? Like, I don't know. It's a bunch of numbers. I'm bored. I can't make anything out of that. But this data holds profound insights into the history of humanity. And what did I say you won? Because you're in America? You won the lottery, dude. America's 4% of the world's population, and we have 25% of the world's wealth. Like, you won the lottery. You are so lucky to have been born in this time and in this country. Like, you should all be like, dude, I won. You're so blessed. And there's so many other people in the world who weren't as fortunate as you. You're so fortunate to be here at this moment in time, in this country, in this classroom. There's a lot of people in the world who don't have food, right? It's a platitude, but it's true. There's a lot of people in the world who don't have health care. There's a lot of people in the world who are in war-torn countries. There's a lot of people in the world who have such circumstances, they would just break your heart. Like you would literally just burst out in tears and start bawling if you could see their suffering. Like in Colombia right now, the earthquake, pulling people from the rubble, lost loved ones. Like you're so fortunate to be the master of your fate and the captain of your soul, and to step into the driver's seat of your life, and to have an internal locus of control, and to choose your career, your profession, your paycheck, to afford your education. You're so blessed. And if you whine, it's a lot of homework. If you whine, recognize that you're choosing to whine in the face of being given such abundance and in the face of having won the lottery of birth, you know? So we can't make sense of this data just looking at it. But if we are to graph it, it tells a powerful story. And so this is one of the things you do in statistics. And Hans Rosling wrote this book, Factfulness, by Hans Rosling. He's passed away, right? But it's all about like statistics and facts and data. And he created this website, Gapminder.org. And if we go here to, there he is when he's younger and not dead. If we go to, right here, understand a changing world. Here's the world in 2025. You see 2025 right there? Right, what you're looking at is all of this data, okay? It's all of this data. It's the graphical presentation of all of that data. And look at how powerful this is. So here's 2025. Over on the vertical axis, we have life expectancy, which is how long somebody lives. On the horizontal axis, we have GDP per capita, which is how much money each person in that country makes or receives each year. And then here, up here, we have all the countries. Each country is represented as a ball. And the size of the ball represents the population of the country. And all the balls there is the population of the world. And you could hover over a ball and you could see what ball it is. There's China. How much money is made in China each year by each person? $25,000, $25.5 thousand. You see it down there on the x-axis? Say I. And how long do people live in China? Somebody tell me. 80.5 years, right? Okay, well, what about this big ball? What do you think this big red ball is going to be right down there? What country? India, right? In India, they only make $10.6 thousand a year. Is that right? I can't see it, my eyes. Is it 10.6? And how long do they live in India? So just look, 72 years. So just looking at those balls, would you rather be in China or India? That's a tough question. Because in China, you're going to live longer, you're going to make more, right? But, you know, it's a different kind of culture and it's a different government and you maybe don't have quite as much freedom. And maybe there's certainly pluses to that, you know, more centralized authority, but there's certainly drawbacks to it. And then India, you have a different culture. You got different food. Like, what kind of food do you like? You know, you got more freedom in India. There's less centralized authority, decision making. But you know, you make less and you don't live as long. Oh, that's a tough one, right? Between those two balls. Which ball do you think is America? America! No A. America. Which one do you think is America? Which ball? Far right green one. All right, low one's killing it. In America, how long do we live? To what age? 78.8. And how much do we make on average per capita? 78.4K. Yeah, 78.4K. So we looked up, we saw 70,000 was the mean salary. This is telling us 78.4. This is GDP per capita. Earlier we asked for mean salary. So maybe there's difference between GDP and mean. So the salary is what a person individually makes, right? The mean salary, that's 70,000. But GDP per capita is like, you know, you take how much the whole country made and then you divide it by the number of people in the country and you get GDP per capita. So there's like per every American, there's 8.4 thousand that is, you know, not part of the salary that's getting made. So maybe that's just the super wealthy that made that. And, you know, I don't know. So, but something to think about. That's what you do as a data scientist, a statistician, is you're like, oh, you kind of reconcile. Oh, I heard this. Well, what about that? Let's think about it. Let's analyze it. Okay, and you might just say, oh, close enough, right? Somewhere around 70 to 78,000 is what each person makes. So in America, 78.4 thousand. You live to 78.8. And the colors of the ball represent the different regions of the world. So green is the Americas, North America, South America. What's up? What's your name? Delpreet? Delpreet.
Yeah.
Delpreet.
So when you say GDP per capita, is it like how much money is made and divided by number of people?
Yeah, for the whole country. Gross domestic product is how much the whole country made, a dollar value, and per capita, per person, is
But do you think is it accurate? Because like homeless people are not counted though, like people who make no money.
No, you just take what the whole country produces. They have some way to say, our whole country made this much money this year. That's GDP. Some people made billions, some people who are homeless made nothing, and now let's divide it by everybody. Yeah. So that's how that metric, as far as I know. I don't know everything. We talked about that Monday. We learn from each other. I'll share what I know, you share what you know that I don't know. We'll learn from each other. If I get something wrong, tell me. I'll learn and grow too. Like, I'm no expert. I've learned some stuff. I don't have my PhD in statistics. There are people who did. They threw the textbook at me a couple semesters ago and said, oh, you need to teach statistics now. Statistics? I haven't thought about that in 20 years. Read the book. Okay. Okay. You're not Gabby. I thought you were Gabby. I was at the hardware store, and there's this person who was the checkout clerk. And her name was Gabby, and I was trying to convince her to go back to school and take my stats class. But she didn't show up, apparently. I don't see her. So that's America. Here we have what? What is that continent? Africa. Here we have Asia. Here we have Eastern and Western Europe. So that's kind of cool. And you know what's super cool about this? This is my favorite thing about it. You ready? Are you ready for this? You ready for the red pill? Ready to have your minds blown? Here's the history of humanity. You got a playhead here, and you can see as the years change how the ball changed. That is all of this data. So here is GDP per capita. Here's life expectancy. That is all that data being represented in a way where it's consumable, easily digestible. And we could scrub this playhead all the way back to 1800. And in 1800, there was a lot fewer people in the world. They didn't live as long, and they didn't have as much wealth. Right? Their quality of life was not as good. You lived to 35, you're an old person. Back in the day. And then as you play this scrub head, you could see how much things have changed in the last 220 years. So not much happens in the 1800s. Like, the white balls are moving, Europe's moving. And then we hit 1900. And right there, look at that little drop with that red ball. Like, something went on in India right at the turn of the century where a bunch of people died. Some pandemic, some war. And we could go to ChatGPT. What happened, or Gemini or Grok or Claude or whatever, what happened in India, or the one that shall not be named? What happened in India in 1900 that killed so many people? I don't know. You're probably thinking of the famine of 1899 to 1900, the deadliest disaster in India around the turn of the century. Okay. Ooh, did I ever hit record again? I did, thank goodness. And so we could see that here, can't we, right? 1899 to 1900, a bunch of people died. That's crazy. And what's this little country? Why did I have a plus sign. I got to reload this page. 1903. The Philippines, right? They also had something happen right around that time. And in the Philippines, in 1900 to 1902 period-ish, Philippine-American War. Huh, never knew about it. And then a cholera epidemic. Like, they got hammered in the Philippines. Life expectancy dropped to 12.8 years. You're born, you live to the age of 13. And you beat the odds. You beat being average. That's crazy. But look, what's happening with Europe, like in the late 1800s. Europe is like, hey, we're living longer in Europe. See that? But Europe, because humans, you know what Einstein said? 2 things that I've observed that are infinite. One is the universe. This is Einstein. The other is, anybody want to speculate? Human stupidity. Isn't that hysterical? Did Einstein say 2 things are infinite? The universe and human stupidity? Oh, Fritz Perls. Okay, sweet. I like that. Oh, and Fritz Perls said, Albert Einstein once said to me, 2 things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity. I'm not yet completely sure about the universe. That's even better. Yeah, so Fritz Perls is awesome, man. He is a German who created Gestalt psychology. And he's a great figure in history. So 2 things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not quite certain about the universe. And so here, watch that. Whoa, what just happened? Everybody's dying. What just happened? Okay. We're in this one for the death stuff. In 1917, worldwide, a lot of people died. What happened? So World War I's a really good guess, but I think because it was worldwide, it's the flu. There's a pandemic. Oh, World War I's at its height, Russia, famine and epidemics, influenza pandemic. So that's where the whole world got impacted. Because not the whole world wasn't involved in World War I. But like, so this is World War I and the influenza pandemic right there. Like, dude, like what percentage of the population was killed? What percentage of the population was killed by the, you know what we're doing right now? We're doing statistics, man. We're using data to understand our environment, to observe and orientate ourselves to our environment so we can make better decisions and take better actions. Observe, orient, decide, act. What's the acronym? Observe, orient, decide, act. What's the acronym? Observe, orientate, decide, act. What's the acronym? OODA. Who uses it? The United States Marine Corps, the military, right? OODA loop. Observe, orientate, decide, act. We are observing and orientating ourselves to our environment, and that's going to help us make better decisions and take better actions. That is such a good framework. Observe, orientate yourself to your environment. Observe your environment, orientate yourself to your environment. Make a decision, take an action. All right? What percent of the population is killed by the influenza pandemic? 1 to 3%. That's crazy. It seems like it's a lot more by those balls. So that's that. And then where else are you going to see the balls drop? What are we coming up to? Now there's some big drops. Like, what country is this? Russia. So there's something going on in Russia where a bunch of people died. And way down here, Ukraine. Poor Ukraine. All right? And then what's about to happen? When I hit 1940, what's going to happen? 40 through 45. World War II, man. Bunch of balls are going to drop. 2 things are infinite. What are they? What are the 2 things that are infinite? The universe and human stupidity. Thank you. And which one was Einstein certain about? He was certain that human stupidity is infinite. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why can't we all just get along and play? It's not the way we're made for whatever reason. And then post-World War II is the golden era of humanity. Look at that. Ooh, wealth and health just like on this trajectory. Crazy trajectory. So amazing. This is the best time ever to be alive. It's not just my opinion, it's backed by data. You live longer and you're wealthier and you have more access to resources. You are like gods. You are mythological gods. People couldn't even conceive of humans living the way you live back in the ancient Greek and Roman times. You're like gods. You fly through the sky and you have your own private stage where minstrels perform for you. Everything from the gladiator battles, right, to romances in unbelievable cities, Emily in Paris, right? And you watch it on your phone or on the back of the seat in front of you while you're flying through the sky. And you know what happens? People are like, yeah, but the seat's uncomfortable. And I had to wait like 30 minutes on the tarmac before my flight took off. Can you believe it? And then people serve you beverages and food while you're flying through the sky being entertained, and people complain. So I'm paraphrasing a video here from a comedian called Louis C.K. Everything's amazing and nobody's happy. I can't show it and record it because that'd be copying somebody's content. I'll show it to you after I stop recording. I'll link it in our course. But if you're watching this video online, because I put these videos on YouTube, so you all have access to it if you missed the class, I'll link it in the description of the video. You can also just search for it. And it talks about mindset, right? Like, don't have a complaining mindset. You want me to teach you something interesting about the human mind and psychology? 5-minute lesson. It's a tangent. Say aye if so. Okay. We briefly touched on this in Monday. We briefly touched on it. I just got to make sure I'm in screen, not in screen. In screen. Monday, we briefly touched on this. It's called the negativity bias. The negativity bias. And so the negativity bias, humans evolved to have a negativity bias. So we have a bias towards negative. And what does that mean? Like, they study this. It means that we're more likely to see the glasses half empty as opposed to half full. We're more likely to complain about the flight being on the tarmac for 30 minutes as opposed to being like, wow, this is amazing. I'm flying through the sky. I'm sitting in a chair flying through the sky. What an incredible time. And somebody's serving me beverages and I could watch movies. Right? We're more likely to be like, it's a 12-hour flight. Really? 12 hours? You went from Los Angeles to London in 12 hours. That used to take people their entire lives, and a lot of them didn't make it. You know? Paraphrasing Louis C.K. again. Right? And we're more likely to be negative. We're more likely to be suspicious, to look for what's wrong and what could go wrong for good reason. It's the negativity bias. Right? For good reason. Because our ancestors were always looking for what was wrong, the ones that survived. We're always looking for what was wrong and what could go wrong. Do we have enough food for winter? Do we have good shelter? Right? Do we have wood to burn? Do we have fresh water? Are there going to be snakes? Are we going to be attacked by animals, by other humans, other tribes? Right? They were always preparing and looking for what was wrong and what could go wrong. They were negative. They were looking for what was wrong and what could go wrong. And those that survived did that. They had this vigilance. We are the descendants, our ancestors were the vigilant ones, the ones looking for what was going wrong, and we descended from them. The ones that were positive, everything's going to be fine. I'm sure there's not a tiger in that cave, right? They got weeded out of the gene pool. right? Look, the bears, those other people approaching us, I'll just go be friendly with them. They got weeded out of the gene pool, but the ones are like, okay, stand guard. Have your weapons ready. Let's talk to these people, see what happens. The vigilant ones, the ones that are looking for what was wrong and what could go wrong, they survived. Right? They were more prepared for winter, for war, for battling the elements and other animals, including humans. Those are our ancestors. That's why we have a negativity bias. Now that you know that, and what's that mean? What's that mean? Practically, you post something on social media. You get 1,000 people who are like, oh my God, so cute, I love it, you look wonderful. And you get somebody else who leaves a comment that's like, you're just a narcissist, self-absorbed, insecure person who's looking for validation. Get over yourself. And you forget all about the 1,000 positive comments, and all you could feel is crushed based upon the one criticism somebody posted. That's the negativity bias. You focus on the negative as opposed to the 1,000 positive. Right? How many people that resonates with how you experience your own mind? Say aye. What? Seriously? That's surprising, because when they study this is true about humans. So to counterbalance that, you have to cultivate positivity. Hey, welcome. Glad you made it. We recorded everything, so you can watch it online, what you missed. It's all right. So to counterbalance that, you cultivate positivity. Does that make sense? You look for what's good, and this is the best time ever to be alive. And there's a book called The Better Angels of Our Nature, written by a professor at Harvard, Steven Pinker, and it talks about this, how this is the best time ever to be alive. And you have access to a quality of life that was, only would be fiction and only attributable to gods back in ancient Greek and Roman times. So pretty extraordinary. All right, I'm gonna stop this video here, but that is like, a little bit about how we describe statistics and use data and turn it into stuff that's more digestible and more consumable. How many people liked learning about that? Say aye. How many people were like, whatever? Say aye. We could have differences, but glad you all liked it.